Welcome everybody to this is the international breakout session for the District Assembly. I think I know everybody. My name is Colin Byron. I'm from the Rotary Club of Greater Dandenong and Endeavour Hills, and I'm also the District International Service Chair, which in Rotary, when we abbreviate everything, I'm the DISC, okay, for the district as well. So again, we're going to go through quite a bit of material, but so let me just explain what we're going to cover. And we're a little bit time boxed. We've only got an hour, so it's going to be pretty high level. But given the small number of people, if people want to ask a question, that's okay as well as we go through this. So the first thing I thought we would start off with was just some of the criteria for selecting international projects. I mean, it's pretty important now with the focus on sustainability and that we pick the correct projects. We have a good understanding of the communities that we're going to be helping. I'm just going to talk about that briefly, and then I'm going to go through the international projects that we host within District 9820. So we'll go through each of those. Hopefully, most of them should be familiar with you. If not the acronym, I've put out the full name of these projects as well. Some of them are in hibernation for obvious reasons, obviously with borders closed, but there's still a lot of active international projects that clubs can still take up. So that's the big message I want to get across as well, okay? And then I'm going to also talk about towards the end this concept of district resource network, where what we need to do is bring in experts to help clubs to be able to properly scale and resource and projects. So we'll talk about the DRN, and lastly just some international resources that you maybe want to take a look at. So we all know that not only Rotary, but the world has gone through a very difficult and still going through a difficult time. Clubs have obviously, a lot of them have gone into hibernation over the last year. Their fundraising abilities have been curtailed, and rightfully so. Lots of clubs have been focusing, coming back now, on community and youth projects, but there's still significant opportunity to do international projects. So there's a number of here that I would highly recommend your clubs may want to take a look at. And I'm hoping that in the audience of the group we've got today, I'm hoping you're either on your club international committee, or you're going to take on a role next Rotary year. And once we go through some of these projects, you may be interested potentially to volunteer, and maybe volunteer to be on one of the committees for these projects as well. So that's where we're going. Okay, so let me start by talking about now. Clearly, this is pretty obvious, but international projects need to align with the seven areas of focus. Okay, and our district has done some amazing international projects over the year. In water and sanitation, within education, building schoolrooms, some of the medical stuff in terms of hospitals, outfitting hospitals, etc., etc. So, but again, we just need to make sure, in terms of if you're going for a grant, they need to basically align with the seven areas of focus. The big thing that I think is really important. So Rotary International a couple of years ago have really focused on projects that increase sustainable humanitarian service. Okay, so this is about, again, ensuring that we better understand the communities that we're helping, and looking for opportunities where, it might be, and I go back to the old days of Rotary, where clubs would maybe go and build a schoolroom in a country. They would take all the materials across from Australia. They'd take all the labour as well, and obviously the project would be done, but not a lot left in terms of looking at opportunities where we may in fact be able to buy the materials in country. Maybe we could train some of the locals in terms of some of the skills, in terms of carpentry and things like that. and empowering women, for example. So lots of projects now we need to make sure that we're leaving it not only a Rotary footprint, but a footprint where we've got an opportunity to help further than just the project that we've outlined as well. Okay, and in terms of now with global grants, the whole focus now is on trying to get a higher quality, greater scale, and the whole idea is connecting clubs with local experts. And this is this concept of DRN, District Resource Networks, which I'll talk about in a minute. Okay, so anybody got any questions, or is it just? Okay, so we're going to go through the programs, and I'm going to ask Brian to talk. So Brian is the head of Disaster Aid Australia. I've got a few of his slides here. So Brian, if we can just keep it to maybe 5 or 7 minutes or something, so we can just keep it within the time frame.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it up to you. I'll just turn myself off here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Disaster Aid Australia is obviously a. By the way, it's someone got some background noise. I can see it. I can hear another voice.
I think it's Tim Moore. I can hear him on. I can hear him on the phone talking to someone on the phone.
Yeah, and Sally Dell's talking. Yeah, so it's across line somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Disaster Aid Australia. We have continued delivering aid over the pandemic. We have the advantage of having a network of in-country partners, and we've engaged with those partners, both by supplying them with cash grants, sending them our sky hydrants, which they've been installing. We during the pandemic, what we have actually done is developed training via Zoom, and we've also got a suite of videos which we're continually adding to. So we've been involved in many countries with the Bhutan project, which many of you will have heard of. Will be completed this year. We have also in the last 12 months with our partner in the Philippines worked on disaster recovery, the sort of picture you see on the left there, where we actually rebuilt 64 homes in a village affected by typhoons in the Philippines. Just a point of interest, to rebuild 65 homes cost us $35,000. So we can do this sort of work very cost effectively, and as I said, because we have good partners in certain countries, we've been able to do it in spite of the COVID. But what we do is we actually make partners with local organisations. They can help with information, with liaison, finding out what people actually want, not what we in Australia think they might want. They also help us buy the materials locally, so we have minimal freight costs or even issues with having to organise freight. The only thing we actually freight out is the sky hydrants, which are 18 kilos, reasonably easy to freight. One issue we have had, of course, with the changes in air transport, our freight costs have tripled. It used to cost us about $100 to send a sky hydrant overseas, and now it costs us about $300. But one of the messages that I can say from Disaster Aid is if people want to get involved, they can either partner with us on a project, or they can just come to us for advice about working internationally. And also we can help them if they've got a school or a hospital that they want to help. Well, we can show them and plan how to add safe water to those projects.
Brian, do you want to talk? I've just put this slide on India. This is a great example of the effectiveness of clean water into schools.
Yeah, basically, providing safe drinking water to community is about the most cost-effective way of improving the health of a community. You can see there that for these, though it says schools here, these are schools and the community. And what we're seeing there is an 88% reduction in illness from the installation of a sky hydrant to that location. So for a $5,000 donation, you are hugely improving the health of 800 to 1,000 people. So this is, as I say, the most cost-effective way of improving health, and it also has a lot of other benefits which you'll see there as well. I won't go on any longer, but if anyone wants any information, they're free to contact me.
Thanks, Brian. I think the other one that's on this slide here too, Brian is trying to get awareness in our district. I mean, for a while there, I mean, it's a homegrown program out of our district, but he was getting more requests from Rotary clubs outside of our district. So he's pushed it now to the extent that you can Zoom into a meeting, you can attend meetings, or your clubs, and there's been clubs in our district that have actually gone and done a vocational tour of disaster aid in Doveton, and there's a meal provided as well. And feedback I've got, I spoke with a couple of presidents yesterday. They were blown away by the experience and seeing how the whole process works. And so again, if you're around Doveton, it's a great thing to put on your program potentially to go and have a look at disaster aid in action. So. Okay, is there any questions of Brian before we move on? Is everybody okay? Okay, thanks, Brian, for that. The second program that I think is clearly is a great international project. It's relatively new in our district. We only took it on board midway last year. It's called, again, another funny Rotary acronym, RORP, which stands for Rotary Overseas Recycled Playground. So, and it's again coming out of an idea of one Rotarian. Lots of our best Rotary projects come out of an individual Rotarian. This was a guy he was in Flemington, North Melbourne. He set it up quite a number of years ago. It was picked up in Peninsula, some of the Peninsula cluster, where Wayne Jenkins has taken. He's basically the chair of this program, and now it's become a district program. So, and it's pretty exciting because let me just show you. This is again a before and after shot of a playground, one of the initial playgrounds that was. The term is not removed, it's called harvested. They harvest playgrounds, believe it or not. So in Bendigo, they took this playground out of the Greyhound Racing Club, and you can see where it's ended up in Sri Lanka, in a school that and most schools in Sri Lanka do not have playgrounds, and you can see the children. So this is the whole point of taking out playground. Clearly, playgrounds get recycled all the time. So Rotary's got in that supply chain, so to speak, and we are now harvesting programs, playgrounds all around the district. So again, the process is we work with councils. So we've got quite a number of the councils in 902 signed up for this. We relocate them. We basically take them, do a little bit of repairs and a bit of paint work on them, and then we take them down to DIK, we put them into containers, and then we ship them to various countries throughout the world. The second point is the point that's councils are a big tick in the box. Playgrounds today, if they're pulled out without our intervention, they end up in landfill. So it's become and in fact, the council where the city of Greater Dandenong I opened up our local paper a few months ago, and we didn't put. It was basically the CEO of the City of Greater Dandenong basically said that we've now got a partnership with Rotary, and he went through all the positives in terms of these programs, and this is becoming huge. I mean, Casey is still signed up. We've got Dandenong, as I said before. Some of the Bass Coast, I think, is signed up, and there's a few. And I'll mention the ones that are not signed up, and we still need to work with those. From a club perspective, it's cost neutral. We actually charge the council $750. That's all they pay, and the $750 covers the cost of maintenance, repair. I mean, we pick the playgrounds that are, we're not going to have to do a lot of work to, and it also includes costs to put it into containers. So there's special containers. We can get up to 12 or 13 of these playgrounds into one container, and off they go. So and as you can see, it's been running for 4 years. We've been really about a year. Throughout Victoria, it's been 50 plus playgrounds. Up until now, we've taken 9 playgrounds. So we've done one in Noble Park, one in Mount Martha, one in Druin, 3 in Narre Warren, 2 in Mornington, and 1 in Keysborough. And again, if you haven't had Wayne come and speak to you at your club, and he'll zoom in, he'll come. He's passionate about this. You're not going to be left. You'll get people that say that sounds like a great idea, and we're mobilising. Rotarians that are now. This is people in action. This is a people in action project. So it's fantastic. Just quickly, the process: identify the playground. Again, they take photographs. They put it on a database, because that's the CAD camming. So obviously it's like the instruction kit to go to the other site, so they know how to put it together again. It gets marked and labelled. Usually the Saturday or the weekend before it comes down. The contractor comes in. You can do it one of 2 ways. The hard way is what I got involved in the first one. You actually have to undo all the bolts, and you bring the contractor in. They obviously pull the concrete things on the bottom out, but normally the contractor will do all of it. So the club really is responsible for making sure that all the pieces are loaded on the RORP trailer, and then it goes back to the RORP workshop, which is Wayne's workshop at his property in Mount Martha. He's got a team of about 3 or 4 people, Rotarians, that do some minor paint work, some repairs. They change some bolts. I mean, he is an Air Force engineer, so he knows a thing about doing these things. And then it goes to DIK for shipment. And we had a shipment of 13 that are going to Sri Lanka. It left last week as well. So these are the stats. I mean, for Victoria, 300 playgrounds are recycled. Councils, education groups, religious schools, McDonald's. There's lots of opportunities to source. Again, here's the RORP trailer that Wayne will lend out to any club to use. It's purpose built to put the playgrounds in place. These are pretty much where they've gone to. Some in Africa, Timor-Leste, Papua New Guinea, Philippines, Nepal, and you can see the number against Sri Lanka. So we work with the Rotary Club of Colombia, and we asked them, so how many playgrounds would you like? They said, we'll take thousands if you've got them, okay? Because none of the schools in most of these countries do not have playgrounds for kids. So it's a win-win. And in fact, this is the last slide. You can see some of the harvesting, and then you can see the smiles and the faces of some of the children that have benefited from this program. So to me, this is a good, where Rotary gets a lot of focus. It's not, you're basically working, and we're working with RORP, because RORP's obviously the player to get these equipment. We've got all the agreements in place for councils. So the end-to-end process is in place. I know a few clubs have tried to do RORP before it was RORP, and it was really messy. This is really, Wayne has done a brilliant job in getting every single piece documented. And so if you haven't had Wayne to your club, I would highly recommend it. Okay, so any questions on RORP? I wish we just changed the names of these programs so they make make literal sense. But anyway, everybody okay with that? Oh, sorry, the councils that we still haven't got. So Frankston Council, I don't know whether there's South Gippsland Council, Latrobe Council, and Cardinia we're working on. So we need to get clubs in those clusters again to work with Wayne. I mean, we're not expecting you to go out to the council, you know, unannounced and whatever. It's working with the person that basically, and it's the word is getting around. So most of the councils are actually looking for Rotary to help them on these programs because it's an environmental project as it is an international project for us as well. So that's a sorry.
I can talk to Wayne about Latrobe.
Very good. Okay. Yeah. We're looking at one of the Frankston clubs for Frankston Council. So we've got wheels in motion, but there's been really good traction. So and Sri Lanka is just taking them like there's no tomorrow. So we can get them on.
Can you tell me about, you didn't have East Gippsland on your list, East Gippsland Shire?
He didn't give that to me, but it might not be covered, I don't think, Pearl either. So
okay.
I'm not a big, I don't know the metropolitan area, I don't know the areas.
Regional areas.
Regional
okay,
areas.
I'll make a phone call.
And you raise a good point, Pearl, because he is willing to get the trailer up to East Gippsland as well. So it's no, you know, you can use your own trailer if you want, but he has that availability, or you can get the DIK trailers as well. So there's opportunity. So he'll go pretty much anywhere in our district from east to whatever. So
okay,
and he's
I'll follow it through.
Fantastic. Thanks, Pearl. That's great. All right, let's move on. I think most people are familiar. So this is the third one that I think is ready to go. This is I think everybody knows donations in kind. Roger Thornton is our district chair for this in Pakenham. You can see the stats in terms of it's just incredible, the containers they've shipped, the dollars they've shipped, the countries they've shipped it to, there was even a data in terms of volunteer hours. There's something like 200,000 volunteer hours. This to me is a good one because, again, if you're not confident, DIK can package, you know, based on what you want to do and what they've got equipment for. They've got ready-made projects that you can put your hand up and again, I'd make contact. I've got a photo, I think, on the next slide of just go to their website. They've got this is their available project work, but it's probably good to make a call with DIK. I know that Berwick has been doing a lot of good work there. They're looking at in I think it's in Tonga, a couple of, I think it's Ballarat, and Berwick is going in there. They're outfitting some dental clinics. There's tons of dental equipment at DIK. They've done things for, I mean, I think Sale have done a major project over the years in terms of glasses, having a clinic up there for, we're using it also. This is not international, but our club does a lot of homeless projects and just getting clothes and stuff for coming through winter as well. So there's huge opportunities with DIK. I mean, DIK is quid pro quo, so you can't just go in and get it, and you've also got to give something in return as well. So lots of clubs, you know, will have associations with hospitals, take out hospital beds and stuff like that. Or you can actually become a sponsor of DIK, pay some money, and you'll get first dibs on some of the equipment as well. But if you haven't been out to the warehouse, it's just it's an unbelievable facility. So that's a ready-made, again, something that you might want to look at as well. Rorke's. So Rorke's is, again, it's actually international and local, but to a large extent, it really is. It sits behind the project. So it's, again, as I think most of you know, it's our tax deductible ability to be able to raise money. So, but there's lots of projects that now fall under Rorke. So RAM, Rotarians Against Malaria, Donations in Kind is a Rorke's project. Rorke's does a brilliant job in communication, not only of the projects getting out there, but also working with, you know, large corporates and that to see whether we can match again, some of these projects with some money from foundations of corporations and stuff like philanthropic organisations as well. You may not know there's 3 funds. There's the Overseas Aid Fund, which is supporting 300 and 400 projects in Australia in 130 countries. The last one is obviously the Relief Fund, where obviously we got money for the fire, and that was the fundraising arm of that as well. So, and Harry Ziegler from Dramana is our district champion for that as well. If you want to put up a project in Rorke, so any club can do this, and I'll show you a little bit later in the resources, their website. Their website is unbelievable in project ideas. So if you're really looking for something, or you want to partner with another club, you may want to just support. It's a great idea and you want to see where you can help, then go to the Rorke's website. But if you want to put a project up into Rorke's, it really needs to follow real strong project methodologies. I mean, they will basically, you have to tick all the boxes. I mean, it's out there in public domain. They are going to make sure that it's completely managed appropriately. So it's which is good. I think it's good. All our international projects should be managed effectively from a project management standpoint. So okay, so that's Rorke's. Let me have another. So the next couple of projects are, unfortunately, they're in hibernation. So most of you probably know Interplast. So this is where we send teams of volunteer plastic and reconstructive surgeons across Asia Pacific. We have a new chair for this, Kay McCauley in Mount Eliza, who is, she's brilliant in terms of her knowledge in terms of maternal health, and she's been fantastic. Unfortunately, we've had to shut the program down. That doesn't mean that we still need to fundraise for these programs. So unfortunately, both for Interplast and Romac, the money, because clubs don't have it obviously either. So, but we need to keep them still front of mind as well. So Interplast, hopefully one of these days we'll be able to get that up and rolling again. And the one that I've been looking at, so I also am the champion for Romac. I've been doing it for about 5 years. I'm about to hand it over for next year, but it's an amazing organisation. This is about working with, bringing in life-threatening children that were in places where they wouldn't have survived. Again, we go through a huge qualification process to get, obviously we've got more children on the list than we can bring in, but you can see that Romac has been running for 30 years and it's done over 500 children. So in Victoria, again, we have to use paediatric ICUs, so the only 2 really are in Monash Children's and also obviously the Royal Children's. And if you've been through I've been through the 2 children that we brought through, it's a life-changing experience to see. And I've actually just put up here the last little girl that we brought in. It sounds like a long time ago now, but it's Amelia from Timor-Leste. She came home with her father. She had a Wilms tumour, which is apparently common in children that young. They're obviously diagnosed a lot earlier, but hers grew. You can see the before photo there that it was like a third of her body weight. The oncologist at the Royal Children's, Michael Sullivan, unbelievable guy. He spends his holidays, we used to, travelling in these countries, as a lot of these surgeons do. He was working with the doctors up there, making sure that she had to have chemo before she came down. She came down with her father. They operated. So the surgeon removed the tumour. And this poor little girl, I mean, she was like, could not get a smile out of her. She was just, it was really, heartbreaking to see. The surgeon removed it, but unfortunately it was so, and you can imagine this tumour had pushed all her organs up. In fact, I saw some x-rays, they were pushed right up her stomach and all this. She couldn't hardly eat or anything like that. They removed it, but unfortunately some of the cancer cells had actually got into her abdomen. So we went from chemo, then we had to go to radiation. So that was Peter Mac. So she had to have 13 days in a row at Peter, which is an unbelievable hospital too for children. But then we had to find, because we had a family hosted, so we typically host families. So we had a husband and wife Rotarian from Mount Eliza, long way to go to, so I was helping them going back and forth to the Royal Children's. We had to find somebody closer to Peter Mac. We put out two Rotarians from the Rotary Club of Strathmore. They volunteered to have her stay at their house. And again, their interest was they lost their daughter through a cancer at the same hospital. So it was amazing, and how good Rotary works together to get these things done. So she went back in February, so she was here about 3 months, I think, and she completely changed. I mean, she was just a typical little girl when she left. So it's fantastic, and we sort of keep in touch a little bit. I get involved in the Timor-Leste community here in Melbourne, and we keep in touch to make sure that we've had 2 from Timor-Leste in the district. But again, it's on hold, but it's a program that's it's unbelievable. So RAM, I think everybody knows RAM, right? So the big push for the program. So Libby is the chair for this one. So this is the one in Vanuatu, and this has been the district partners project as well. I think most people are aware of that. So that's a great international project. And the last one I just wanted to put up was this Days for Girls. I'm not sure that Ulla still sort of got, because clearly we can't travel anyway, but she's done an amazing job. It's not strictly a Rotary. It's, Days for Girls is independent, but it's fallen under the Rotary umbrella. And again, it's about helping girls and through education, menstrual care, working with partnerships. And the other piece of this, again, from sustainability, is looking for social enterprises. And I just want to show you, again, this was 2 years ago, but Ulla and her team went to Nepal. They distributed feminine hygiene packs in remote areas of Nepal. They also had trainers to teach children, the care and stuff. But what they also did is they went into, again, another part of Nepal through some funding from Inner Wheel. They were able to purchase industrial sewing machines, fabrics, tools. They hired an enterpriser local to make the kits. So she's qualified now to do sewing. She's a health ambassador. She employed another one. So they've set up a business. And now, well, she was, I don't know whether she still is, given the COVID conditions in Nepal, but she's now providing kits for other NGOs around the region. Rather than having to send it all from Australia or wherever, we're starting to try and get some beachheads in these countries to create enterprise activities for the women. So, and that's it. That's the sort of the portfolio that we've got on offer, guys. So, and then clubs do their own projects as well. I mean, so I'm across a lot of ideas and projects, and I'd like to be involved. Clearly, I'll remain involved until we get our new disc up and running. But I'm here to be the conduit between the club and the district and experts, where we can bring in relevant expertise and stuff like that. So has anybody got any questions before I just do the last part of this? Has anybody got any questions on any of those? So is everybody aware of these projects or programs? So there's, okay, maybe Rorps is probably the newest one in that suite of projects. Okay.
Just a point of information, Colin.
Yeah.
I'm told DIK are changing their name to something like in-kind donations.
I know. I didn't know the latest. I looked it up and I couldn't find what their new name was going to be. So
it's something like in-kind donations. I was actually on the Rorks meeting this morning, and that was the first I'd heard of it.
Yep. I knew they changed the name, but I wasn't going to guess. Okay, so I just left it as do. Okay. So
Ros wanted to say something, Colin.
Yep.
Hi, Colin. Hello, everybody. I'm Rosalind.
Oh, hi, Rosalind. I saw you on the line from Tassie.
I'm Colin's disc colleague. We have a buddy system, so
Yep.
I
We're
joined.
buddies.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say thanks very much indeed for the fantastic list you had. And I also wanted to throw into the mix Food Plant Solutions.
I was going to
Rotary
bring that up as well. Yeah, Rosalind. Yeah. Do you want to quickly talk about that?
Yeah, I'd like to. Food Plant Solutions Rotary Action Group is one of the international action groups, and it is one of the few international action groups not based in the USA. Its team and its chair are based in District 9830 in Australia. So Food Plant Solutions has had some good publicity during COVID. We featured on an interview on the Grassroots program on ABC Radio one Sunday night, and it featured on Landline one day. I would just like to let you know that any time you've got a project where you could add value, anything to do with water, you could add value with garden nutrition, anything like that, we would love to tell you that just because we raise the funds in Tassie doesn't mean to say that you can't also benefit from learning about this project. So I will send some information to Colin, and hopefully he might choose to include it in the
I'll
future.
definitely do that, Rosalind. That'd be fantastic. Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
doing some great work on that. Yeah. So.
And
Thank
the
you.
second
Yep.
Rotary Action Group I just want to throw in was basic education and literacy.
Yep.
There is that's another Rotary Action Group. I'm not quite sure where that's based. I think it's the current chair is in Maine, USA. But in our district, we have Dr. John Thorne. He's a past Rotary International Director, and he is the global chair of a project, called a brand new project, literacy, with a partnership between Rotary International and Encyclopedia Britannica. So there again, I'll get John to send the information through to Colin, and we can follow up later to let you know about that one. But I just wanted to come along today
That's great.
and
Thanks,
throw in those seeds for the future planning. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rosalind, for your input. Okay, just quickly, I just want to talk about this concept of the District Resource Network. So the whole idea about this is to try and provide clubs with expertise. And it's in the three areas. So expertise in doing project planning and implementation, which is obviously critical if you're going to do a Rorke's project, or you want to go for a global grant. That's pretty fundamental. We need expertise in the 7 areas of focus, and I'll tell you which areas we've got expertise in, and also in terms of writing grants. And they're not so much district grants, so these are global grants. So I mean, Brian writes global grants for disaster aid. Well, he did. I think they've come back a little bit now, but he's an expert in being able to get a global grant through. Well, at least written anyway. It doesn't necessarily mean it gets approved. That's another process. But
yeah, one of the things, Colin, is the rules have changed somewhat. We used to be able to get global grants for our water projects, but because our water projects are such low cost, we now fall below the level, and the foundation no longer allows us to bundle several installations together. So, but yeah, we do have knowledge. One of our volunteers, former career was writing UN grants. So, yeah, if people want some help with grants, I'm sure we can step in and provide some advice.
yeah, so we'll be publishing this district. I mean, fundamentally, this is my call to action from all clubs. I'm sure you've got somebody that would meet one of the criteria for one of these kind of experts. So we want to build out. Now we've got experts all over Australia. We can call on, Rosalind down in Tasmania. We can call on, but we would also like a group in our own district people can go to, and these are the things that we're going to try and help: expertise on project planning, making sure that they're aligned correctly to an area of focus. I mean, you can read this stuff here as well, but all of this stuff requires, and if you've only got a club international group of 1 or 2, it's very onerous to get all this in place. So, and again, the whole idea of a DRN is to make more project more impactful, effective, and achieve the results that we aim to do. And again, for each one of the 7 areas, we've got a list. And again, if anybody is interested, I can send this stuff in terms of, you're not going to be qualified to. If this is water, sanitation, and hygiene, for example. But again, there's certain individuals in our and again, it doesn't have to be. It could be Rotarians, it could be people outside, they could be alumni, they could be from all kinds, from the Rotary action groups. There's all kinds of experts around that we just want to harness their skills. And this is a list of, and there's the food plant solutions down here, but these are all the different organisations. Again, they're listed. Again, they're run by Rotarians around the world, and they have some great information and potential projects and stuff like that. So that's also a good, useful. So again, my call to action to the clubs is again to make sure that if you're going to do an international project, if you could at least run it past the disc to see, whether it meets all the criteria and stuff like that. But the big one is to try and again, we've got 48 clubs. It's very difficult to know where the expertise lies, and given the diverse geography of our region, of our district, it's also very difficult. Okay, finally, just some resources that you might find useful. So if you haven't, Rotary Showcase, does everybody know what Rotary Showcase is? I mean, it's basically, it's a list of all the projects. I think I've got an example of it. This is pretty old, it's going back, but again, if you open up the website, it's listed under, again, the 7 areas of focus. There's a lot of COVID projects clearly on there as well. But again, it's a great idea to open them up, have a look at them, where they're, where it's being run from. It could be run anywhere in the world, but it might be something that you may want to, I mean, you might have excess funds, for example. Maybe you can't do a project, but you might be able to support another club somewhere in the world or whatever. Okay, so this is always a good reference point for looking for projects. The Rorke's project list, I think it's one of the best. It's basically, you've got to navigate. So if you open it up, you navigate by, what district in the region. This is all Australia, obviously. Oops. The project type, and then this is a while ago. Oh, I keep turning the page, sorry. There's 539 projects listed here. You can go and have a look at each of these. And I've just picked one. I've just broken one up here. Here's a COVID-19 project in Kathmandu. It tells you what the project's about. It tells you the contacts. It tells you the sponsor club, Rotary Club of Albury in this case. The good thing about Rorke's, you have a donate button. So it's not just Rotarians putting their hands in their pockets. It's, people looking at ways to donate to activities and stuff like that. I was on a meeting last week of our district foundation committee, and out of the foundation this year, there's been $30 million of global grants given to COVID projects around the world. So it's and obviously there has to be a balance. So a lot of it's going to COVID, not necessarily going to go into a lot of other projects. So it's obviously a balance and priority as well. So okay, what other things have I got? I've nearly done, guys. The action groups I've told you. Also DIK projects, and the last thing, again, I haven't. It's quite a large PDF file, but again, if you go into the Rotary website, have a look at the community assessment tool as well. Again, it's all things to, it's pretty, but it at least gives you an idea of how you engage with community groups, what you're looking for. And again, this is expected now. If you're going to do a Rorke's project, then an assessment tool needs to be completed. That's a tick in the box that you have to do. I mean, clearly, if you do a smaller international project in your club, it's still good due diligence you should be doing as well. So there's some resources, and again, I'm here. You can email me, or I'm happy to answer any questions or any projects you want me to have a look at or whatever. And hopefully I'll get round to. I'm going down to Traralgon. Charlie's invited me to do a talk on international down at their club, so I'm happy to do that for any clubs that would like for me to speak to your whole club. So, and that's pretty much it, guys. So is there any questions? Is there anything I've missed, or?
Colin, I might have missed part of yours. Did you tell us who your successor was?
Oh, no, I haven't told. Yeah, so the guy that's going to take over from me, and I'm in the process of obviously, making sure that he understands, is a guy by the name of Cam, K-A-M, Pow, P-O-W, Cam Powell. So he's out. This guy has significant, he loves international. He's been on mercy ships. He's got his son's a doctor. His daughter's a dentist. He's been out doing mercy ships things. He's been into Cambodia. He's Malaysian by birth. He happens to be our current president of our club, but it's good because the association, I can basically work with him, making sure that he gets up to speed and stuff. But I think he'll be a great asset. He's on the board of Disaster Aid as well, so he's well aware of some of the international activities and projects as well. So he'll come on officially under Bill's team as the disc, and I'm moving into. Well, I'm already an assistant governor for Melbourne South East, so I'm doing that in my part time as well. So yep. So good. Thanks, Bill, for letting me. I forgot about that. Anything else?
Just on DOK, Colin.
Yep.
Oh, gee, I can't think when it was. A few years ago when I was international chair.
Yep.
We actually did a 9820 day where we toured.
We should do that again. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
DOK.
Yep.
And for those particularly who don't know DOK, it is the most ridiculously incredible place you could ever wish to go and see. And I don't know, is it a good time to sort of start
Jan,
thinking about something of that nature again?
You raise a good point, because DOK on their website have just done a 9-minute video of going through all of DOK virtually. So again, I would, because it's in West Footscray, so a lot of clubs aren't going to be able to get, probably have to stay overnight somewhere to get there. But if you look at the 9-minute video, it is really well made. It's fantastic. But I would also encourage, if your clubs are in the vicinity of West Footscray, to ring them up. You can have a club night down there. They'll put a barbecue on. We're going into winter. I'm not too sure right this time of year. But to your point, Jen, I remember getting a district day at DIK to get everybody down there, and it's incredible. I just, even looking at the volunteers that sort pencils and books and all that kind of stuff to put in education packs, it's an amazing project,
Yeah.
And again, if you don't know about it, it's a ready resource. But again, you also need from your club as to where you can source, surplus clothing, or if you got a local hospital, make sure that if they're going to get rid of beds and stuff, you're going to need to have trailers and stuff, or have an association. We've had it with the Dandenong Hospital. They've done it down at St John of God in Berwick. They go in and you know what we do?
Tribe regional.
So Berwick did it with a couple of clubs, and they had their Interact club involved as well. So that opens the eyes to school kids in terms of what some of the things that we're doing in Rotary as well. So.
And the same thing with school desks.
Yeah.
The
final point I want to make, and I reckon this has been an issue, I think, is that we all, with clubs, we're a little bit like little islands. We're all in silos. We've got our clusters, but I would encourage you you know, it's okay to do a project on your own, but I think working with other clubs in your area makes a big difference. You can, again, in terms of the ability to raise funds, the ability to go for district grants, you can double the amount. You know, I was talking to my cluster yesterday, and we're looking at potential international projects where we can bring 3 or 4 clubs together and get expertise where we may not have had expertise in a single club. So have a think about that as well going forward. So all right, I'm going to shut up now, Bill. I think I've covered everything I want to talk about.
Thanks, Colin. You've done a great job.